Hey guys, welcome to the Quiet Sisters podcast. I'm Lindsay.
I'm Haley.
And today we are going to be talking about 2004's The Forgotten.
The Forgotten is a science fiction psychological horror thriller film directed by Joseph Rubin. It's a lot of descriptive words. I was like, I think we may have talked about this in our thing, where there's a lot of subgenres in horror, and clearly, I actually really like the science fiction. Because I like supernatural horror too, but I feel like science fiction is just a little bit more scary because maybe it could happen. A lot of the technological horror and alien stuff, it's kind of this could maybe happen.
I mean, the universe is an infinite place. I highly doubt there's not some form of life out there.
Right. But it's starring Julienne Moore is the main character.
Right.
Dominic West comes along for the ride. Gary Sinise is there. Alfred Woodard is. Guy's name is Linus Roach. He plays the bad guy. He was Bruce Wayne's father in Batman Begins.
Oh.
So he was Thomas Wayne. And he was also, I guess this guy likes being an alien. He was in the Chronicles of Riddick. He was one of the the bad guys with the weird heads.
Okay,
he was
yeah.
supposedly one of the Riddick's race that he killed all of. Apparently he was one, but he'd been converted. But that's pretty much what I remember that guy from. We've also, we don't have to tell you what Julienne Moore is from.
Or Gary Sinise.
Yeah,
Lieutenant Dan!
Gary Sinise is, she goes to Lieutenant Dan. I go to usually Apollo 13 or his character in Green Mile.
True.
Dominic West was also, I think, maybe the first thing I saw him was actually Chicago. He was in there for 2 seconds because he's the guy that she kills.
Yeah, in the beginning.
But then he was in 300, so I think that may have been the first thing that I remember I would see.
He's done a couple of different period stuff, I think, because I think I remember his face from period stuff.
Yeah, and the guy that Anthony Edwards, who plays her husband, is actually the pretty much, I think, main character in ER.
Yeah. Yep.
And I was like, oh man, that's where I know him from. And there's the minor, Alfred Woodard, big name character. She's not in it a lot. She's in it more than some of the other people, but you know who Alfred Woodard is. Also seen in another horror movie, which is Annabelle.
Mm-hmm.
Not a great horror movie.
Also, there was a lovely little sneak of Aunt Lydia in there, if anybody else likes The Handmaid's Tale.
Okay, I didn't know this.
Aunt Lydia was in there, so that was surprising to me. This movie was 16 years ago. Seeing the people in it, you're like, whoa, ooh, I couldn't remember the last time we had seen it. It's been a while.
Honestly, Julienne Moore and Gary Sinise look great. So
yeah,
still,
yeah, they look the same. It's not like they've aged that much.
Yeah, Gary Sinise really likes being in award-winning things. Forrest Gump, Apollo 13, Green Mile. Julienne Moore too. I think she was just nominated for the. Still Alice, was it? The Alzheimer's.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, so basic premise real quick before we get going is that so Julienne Moore's character, Telly, has lost her son, Sam, in a plane crash. It's been about 14 months since the plane crash happened.
6 days?
Yeah, she's been keeping count. And we're dropped into it. That's basically the premise, is that her son died in a plane crash, and we're dropped kind of into her grieving process. They don't expand on it too much, but you kind of infer that she's been having some very rough issues mentally going on through it.
Gary Sinise, who is her Dr. Muntz, her psychiatrist.
Right.
Which the first shot is where all the credits and everything start is above. There's a bunch of these shots that are kind of pushing in from the sky to kind of be someone's watching you. Sort of a narration over her in Sam's room looking at pictures and stuff.
And she's watching old videos.
Yeah, and I was like, yeah, that's how you get over this, ladies. Just watch videos of your dead son.
Yeah, so we kind of slowly get more and more information about what steps her therapist, I guess, has gone to help her with the grieving process. Like at one point, she gets a key from somewhere to unlock her son's door, like a little bit later into the movie. So they've locked all of his stuff away so that she stops obsessing over it, is what my inference was.
Yeah, she said later, she's like, I've been really, when she realized that the pictures were gone, that she left him a message.
She said, I've been really good.
I've been good about the lock.
Yeah.
So
I've been good about the tapes. I've been good about the lock.
Yeah, it makes sense that, you put a lock on it so you can't just constantly just go into his room and think about it. But at first, her husband and her psychiatrist are like, yes,
your son died.
And her, like, downstairs, the neighbor lady who apparently not kidnapped, babysat.
Opposite.
Babysat, opposite of kidnapping. Babysat Sam was also is aware of the fact that she had a son and he died in a plane crash. So,
but they're all trying to move. Yeah, and they're all trying to move towards her kind of recovery from dealing with this loss. So the first main thing that happens is
she goes back in his room.
Yeah.
And she sees that his, what does she see? I think he's got a baseball.
It's a hat, a mitt and a hat.
Yeah,
she pulls that all out of the drawer.
Pulls that out, and then she pulls out the picture, the photo albums, and opens them, and then flips through literally every single page, and the pictures are gone. All of his pictures are gone, and then she pulls out an even bigger one, and all those pictures are gone, goes through all the pages, goes back to them just in case. And then she goes to, naturally, she goes to the tapes
that she had been watching of him.
Yeah.
And puts them in the VCR. Whoa, throwback.
Right. I feel like the VCR is in a really weird place. I feel like they don't use it a lot because it's showing on this tiny TV. I don't know.
Yeah. And their house is pretty nice. Like, we even made a comment, like, they've got a cool house. They've got, like, this spiral staircase in the middle of, like, from the second floor down. Yeah, they're in New York. They're in New York City. But anyway, yeah, she goes to the tapes and the tapes are empty. Yeah. So she's like, obviously spiraling and freaking out because all, her memories of her son are gone. So she calls her husband. And gets
before that was the picture.
Oh yeah, the night before they have a picture.
Yeah, and you're not quite understanding yet that people are forgetting him. You just think that I don't know why it's just a really weird thing to get upset about. She gets upset at him for changing a picture of him, and I'm like, lady, it's a physical printout picture. Unless he took it out and taped or I don't know how on earth he would alter.
Well, I was confused about that too, but she explains later to the doctor
that there were more pictures.
That they were all together, and that Sam took that picture of them, and then a lady that walked by took the picture of the three of them, and so he switched them. Yeah, and so he switched the pictures, and so that's why she is mad at him. So that was confusing at first too. I was like, there's no way he doctored the printed out picture of them. He did especially in the early 2000s, I think. I don't know if that would even be something that you could do.
And she says they're making dinner, and she says something about she got a book, and he's like, what is it called? And she said, Psychotic Women and the Men Who Love Them. And she's like, just kidding, it's a children's book. I'm like, yeah, but that's totally a book.
Oh yeah, she's an editor. That's her job.
Right. Yeah.
This is all over the place, but anyway, so
it comes in.
That was just the first night. So then that next day, after she's noticed all of this other stuff has gone missing and the tapes, she calls her husband and has to leave a voicemail, and is like, do you want to make me hate you?
I'm like,
And obviously, like he comes home from work to find her.
She's like, I can't be with you anymore.
Yeah.
Whoa.
I can't be with you anymore. And is this when
He called
the doctor.
Gary Sneeze comes over and is like, you never had a son.
You're recovering.
You're delusional.
You're waking up.
You had a miscarriage.
Yeah, that's their story, is that she had a miscarriage when, like, how old was he? Like 7, 8 years old?
He was 9 years old.
He was 9.
So that's long. Like,
so for 9 years,
9
she's been in this delusional world where she's had this child.
Yeah, because she apparently miscarried him 9 years ago.
Yeah. And so she's made up this whole story that she has this son. And so now they're saying that she's coming out of the delusion.
I'll be real with you. If you thought that your wife 9 years ago had a miscarriage and still hadn't gotten over it to that level, I would maybe also be annoyed. But that's not the point. She's like, what are you talking about? I have a son. His name is Sam. I have a picture of him that she is not looking at her husband. She's like only talking to Gary Sneeze at this point.
Yeah.
He's like, he changed all this stuff and he's trying to make me forget. Y'all trying to make me forget about him. I think that's helping. And she's like, there's a picture that he didn't change. And she's a printout.
Like a photo booth.
And she goes to get it and it's not of her and Sam anymore. It's of her and her husband. And she's just like,
what?
He like pulls her over and be like, we didn't think that we were going to have to hospitalize you, but...
And then she's like, nope. And she runs. She flees. And at this point, she's already seen Creepy Dude once before she went to work the morning before, because they've been showing that she's been forgetting small things as well. Right. So she walks out on her way to work the previous morning and is like, I parked my car here. And Creepy Dude is in the car and he's like, what kind of car is it? And she's like, it was a red Volvo. And he points across the street and she's like, oh. And he's like, it's okay. I forget all the time. And so she's already seen Creepy Dude at this point.
He's credited, Linus Roach is credited in the credits as a friendly man. That is his title. Like totally very friendly, much friendly. And she decides to go to another parent whose daughter was in the plane at the same time. And she's like, hey, I came to talk to you about your daughter. And he's like drunk. At this point, he's like, what? She's like, look, in the room that was his daughter's room is an office that's wallpapered in fabric for some reason. And she's like,
And so for some reason she stays the night at his apartment. Yeah. And while he's passed out drunk, she goes into that office.
Because she's trying to like be like, oh, you had a daughter. He's like, can we talk about this after? And you're like, what? And he's like, after I sleep. He's like, oh, I was like, after what?
Yeah. But yeah, and so she stays the night, and while he's passed out sleeping, she goes back into the office that she was like sure was her bedroom, because she's like, I've been here before. Me and my son have and she notices that his like walls have fabric on them, and so
it's been ripped in a certain place.
Yeah, and so she goes into the kitchen, grabs a kitchen knife, and starts.
Butter knife, actually, I think.
Oh yeah, like just a butter knife. Like, okay, I'm gonna vandalize this guy's room real quick.
She gets it off of there.
She does. She pulls it off way
I don't
easily.
know how easy it is to get. I mean, it's not legit wallpaper, so maybe it's easier to get a cloth off of the wall. Who knows?
We'll suspend our disbelief. But she peels it off and discovers that there's drawings all over the wall. And the next morning, when the guy wakes up, she's like, "You need to go look in there. This was your daughter's room." And imagine you're like this dude that's got this girl that he doesn't know at this point.
You got a daughter.
And walks in and she's like peeled wallpaper, mind you, with pictures hung on them. Like she rips it off and the glass shatters and stuff. Like just no regard for any of his personal belongings. And is like, look at all the paintings underneath.
Like, the people before me had a child and they let her draw. Like I put
Paper over.
it. And she's like, say her name. I'm like, who are you? Batman. It's like, you gotta say Lauren. And then he's like, Lauren. And then she's like, you have his daughter. He's like, I'm gonna need a second.
And so he walks away.
Leaves, and then she's sitting there. And it's weird thing when he comes back, she says, do you want some coffee? I'm like, you don't, like, he's the one who lives here, so
Yeah.
make a little more sense if he offered you coffee. And she's like, I know it's really hard. And he's kind of just like, yes. He's like, I called the police.
Yeah. You're a crazy psycho.
Like, honestly, you have this lady who says that she knows you and you have a daughter come in and be like, hey, and then like rip you off your walls.
Yeah.
Why are you gonna?
So he's just like, you need help. I called the police. I'm sorry. And she's like,
I don't think she doesn't run away. She just like goes.
No, she just goes. She's just kind of defeated,
downtrodden because she thought that maybe he remembered.
Yeah. And as she's leaving, she's like, they all think I dreamt it. Do you think I dreamt it? And he's like, yeah.
I sure do. Okay, bye.
And so the police take her down to the street, and I guess they're walking her to the squad car, and that's when
interception.
The NSA feds arrive to.
I was like, are they? I guess NSA is a federal agent, but like
yeah, the National Security. It's a different subdivision.
When you say federal agent, I assume it's the FBI, not the NSA.
Right. But they show up and they're like, we need to take her, and the police are like, okay.
And like, what do you even say?
And meanwhile, while they're doing this transfer, Ash walks back into the bedroom and has.
Really? He's like, oh,
yeah,
he's like, first gasp. Like, that sounded slightly like ADR.
Very, very dramatic, like, realization that.
Oh God, it's like hitting him, like.
Yeah, and he remembers his daughter, like, at different instances saying stuff to him in the bedroom. And he's like, oh, crap, she was right!
Oh, God.
And so he goes after her, like, trying to find her. And at this point, she's with the federal agents, and he finds the police officer. He's like, where is she? He's like, the feds took her. And so he goes to their car, and he's like, you were right. I remember. And so they have like he has a scuffle with the police officer. She's locked inside of their car, so she's like trying to get out. And while he's fighting, he kicks the window open and unlocks the door for her and tells her like, run for it. And so they both like escape from the
I'm not sure how
the agents. But he just kind of ran after.
Meet him at the swings where I guess it's in the park where their children used to play.
Right. And they were like, oh, okay, cool. We can't hang out here. We need to find somewhere else to like figure out what's going on.
So they go to so they're in a Mercedes. I'm not sure where they got this Mercedes from. They're in the car and they're driving down the street and she's like, yeah. And he's like, I remember her. Like, what is going on? And they're like talking, and then you're like, oh, bam. And they are slammed into by come
to find out, the freaking NSA. Like, okay, I don't understand how this is how you apprehend a suspect by almost killing them. Like, they could have died. They hit them at full speed. Like,
that's what makes their car didn't flip.
Yeah, but she's just like, oh, my door's jammed, and they're both fine. Like, no hurt, like, nothing bad or whatever. Like, we're good. They get out of the car.
Like, no, stop. I'm like, no, you just tried to kill me. I'm not going to stop.
And then all of a sudden, there's like just a whole bunch of these agents, like 6 or 7 of them, like, chasing after him. Yeah, and they're running away, and they hide.
Like some grass.
Yeah,
it's very intense music.
Yeah, it's like doom, doom,
all of a sudden.
Doom. And they're like, nope, can't find him.
Okay, they're gone. We gotta go get a hotel because can't trace.
Haven't you seen TV?
Because that's what he said in the car. He's like, you got any cash? Because we can't use a card. And he's like, okay. And they find a hotel.
Yeah, just a random motel somewhere.
Yeah, and he goes and gets junk food, and she's like, I'm just trying to decide if I want too much sugar or too much salt.
And he gets the bottle, and he gets a bottle of liquor, and she's like, I really wish you wouldn't do that. And he's like, okay, Mom.
He's like, okay, whatever. I kind of have a crippling alcoholism thing. I'm not going to get over it in 2 seconds.
And then
sleep and
they're sleeping. And then what happened?
I think she's been having these when she goes, like right before she goes to sleep, she has
dreams,
memories. It started with just like memories of Sam, and now she's having the memory of going to the airport with him
to take them.
Yeah, and they go onto like the tarmac to go onto like a tiny plane. Not sure where they were.
I don't know what kind of camp they're going to.
Yeah, but they have to get on a tiny plane to do it. And so
she's remembering more detail.
To this, like they're very orange in the scene. I'm like, why are they so orange? But she keeps on kind of going back to that and getting like more, like closer and closer to leaving in like slightly more details and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
This is in the morning. They wake up. The feds see them. They get in the car and they're trying to get out of this. I think I was like, but they're at like, I don't know if the motel is next to this place that sells cars.
Oh,
or they found the place that has cars, because they're at a place that like sells used cars.
And I guess maybe they're trying to get another car.
Yeah, so they get into the car and start driving off, and then a
friendly man.
A friendly man.
Yeah.
is standing there in their way, and Dominic West is like, GTFO.
And the guy doesn't move.
He's like, nope. So he just like, okay, bye. And he hits him, and he hits the like gas tank, and they just go. And they're Julienne Moore's like, oh my god, I think we just killed him. Do we kill him?
He's like, I don't know. He wouldn't move.
So her phone is ringing, and
he's like, don't answer it.
She's like, oh no, hi. And then it's Alfred Woodard. She is the police chief.
I'm assuming she's a police chief.
I think she's the chief. She's at least a police officer. And she's like, hey, your husband came in and was like, you're not here anymore.
Yeah.
You ran away and you're having a psychotic break. And she's like, what are you?
We didn't mean to hurt anybody.
And she's like, oh my god, we didn't mean to kill that guy. He was just in the way. And she's like, what? No.
That's not what I'm calling them.
That's not what I want, but like, great.
And then she says to her, she's like, how could two people be having the same delusion about children for the same plane?
Children, same disappearance.
Yeah. How is that? How can that happen? And then she hangs up on her.
It's like, thinking about it.
And so that's when they go to the cabin.
Yeah, the cabin. Yeah.
He's like, I know a place where we can hide out for now.
It's a crappy cabin.
And they're at this cabin, and he gets more alcohol again, and she's like, she's
like, why'd you do that? And she's like, don't you think I wish I could forget what makes you so effing special?
Yeah.
Jesus. And he's like, I forgot about my daughter, okay? Like, it's traumatizing.
Yeah.
And she's like, okay. I'm sorry, I just like don't want you to be drunk. He's like, he like pours it out in the sink. You see like single man tear going out. Like honestly, he's so sad about it. And then they go to sleep, and that's
he hears barking in the middle of the night.
Gets a fire poker. He's like, who's out there? And there's a FBI agent with like binoculars.
Yeah.
And you're like, hey.
And he hits him.
Whack.
And then they bring him inside.
Yeah, he's like tied up to a chair.
They're like, what do you want from us? Who do you work for?
Who are you? Like, punch. He like backhands this guy. Julienne Moore's like, calm down a little bit. Like, good cop, like, crazy cop is what's happening right now. They're both like, tell us where our children are.
And he's like, there are no children.
He's like, there aren't any children. And they're like, dude, we know what, like.
And then he's like,
children.
You just need to forget about them.
Yeah, it's not, it doesn't help it. They're like, he's like, okay, so the next time I swing this thing, I'm going to break your knees. And the guy's like, oh my God, because he hits the chair, like, in between the guy's legs.
And smashes it.
Whoa. He's like, okay, he just, like, cooperate with them. We're not.
Quote unquote, them.
So just let them do things. He's like, you're like, who are you talking about? I was like, the people took our children. And they're like, no. This guy's very like, oh God, please don't kill me, kind of thing.
And he's also like worried. Like he's like, I can't tell you.
He says that they're listening.
Yeah, and then
Julienne
this.
Like, tell us.
And then this is where the yoinkening happens.
It's a great. I feel like because this one is just you can't quite see exactly what happened.
Because it's dark.
It just looks like the roof just blew off and the guy is gone.
Yeah. You don't see exactly what
all you see
happens.
is all of a sudden it's like explosion from the sky and he's gone and they're like, what?
Yeah. And so
Like,
obviously
okay,
they're
we
like,
gotta
well,
go.
yeah, we should probably leave now.
Yeah, because she remembered the name of the place. So they go to like their office.
Well, they go to
the
leave.
airport.
First, it shows, like, after they first left, it shows the detective lady showing up
Right.
to the cabin with, like, I guess, state troopers from that area.
Right,
and
they're
he's
like,
like, it looks like a gas leak, but there's no like burned
Yeah.
evidence. We found this guy's ID in here, but there's no body anywhere.
Third person.
Also, witness says that they only saw these two leaving, like
Right.
running out, like in the middle of the like night or whatever.
Like,
so,
who
who is this guy? And they're like, what happened?
Yeah, and Alfred Woodard was talking to her partner, I guess, and she's like, "Who would you say if I told you that your daughter wasn't real?" And he's like,
Why would you say that?
And she's like, yes. Why? That is the question.
That
She's
is-
like, deduction. She's like, that's exactly what I was thinking.
So then it goes to that scene where they're trying to figure out this Quest Airlines thing, like where they need to go for it.
Yeah.
And so they go to their like offices,
Yeah.
and the offices are empty-ish. Like they look empty and they're looking around, and then they find Aunt Lydia in there, and she's like, whoa, you're not supposed to be here. And she's like, oh, I'm sorry, we didn't know anybody was gonna be here. I'm Mr. So-and-so's
She saw the name on the office and was like,
yeah.
where is his assistant?
I'm here to just get some stuff. And
She's like, you're not supposed to be here. I'm like an attorney
for the bankruptcy, and I'm going through like all of like the assets and stuff.
Yeah.
You can't be here. And she's like, well, it was just some personal items. She's like, it doesn't matter. You can't take anything.
She's like, okay, well, could you mail to him?
And she's like, oh yeah.
She's like, could you just confirm that your address that you have is correct? And she's like, right, it's this.
And they're like, okay.
Walking up to the house.
and it's big house on the beach. Empty big house on the beach. And this is the weird, there's like a weird time change thing here.
Yeah,
they show up at the house.
Which you then get a shot when they go in the house of like behind like a banister. You get some of these shots that are from, looks like somebody's like hiding.
Watching them, yeah.
I feel like you're
Yeah, and it's just a very, very strange time change where it's very obviously like late afternoon, and then all of a sudden as they're walking through the house, it's just like, it's night.
It's cloudy because they're on Long Island. But
yeah.
It's clearly not like dusk about to turn into night, and then all of a sudden it's very dark.
Yeah, and they've got flashlights.
Yeah, I was like, okay, but I mean, it's like cut out we don't need to see them do that. So
yeah,
great.
It's just weird that time passed very, very quickly.
I was like, well, is it like, did they go into like a dark part of the house? It's like okay.
And so they're searching this. This is supposedly the house of the guy that owns the Quest Airlines.
There's like no one here because I guess he went bankrupt.
Yeah. He's like, there's obviously nobody living here.
So there's like Julienne Moore in the bed upstairs. She has another like falling asleep moment, and then realizes that one of the people on the tarmac was a friendly man. Was a friendly man.
And at the same time she's doing that, Ash is downstairs and sees a picture of him at the hangar.
Right, because he saw it before, but then he looked closer and you can see that he's standing like in the darkness.
Yeah, and they're both like, whoa, it's that guy. We gotta get out of here.
They're like, let go. And then they can't. They hear there's this noise like, whoa. You're like, what? I'm like, I think something's here.
Yeah.
She's like, they're like in the house with us. I'm like, I think they're just like above you.
Yeah.
But they're like trying to get out, and he's like, it won't work. You're like, you kicked out a window before, and then he does
kick out the window.
He just pick up a table and like throw it in. I'm like, thank you.
And as they're leaving, you hear the sirens of the police showing up.
At one point, Gary is like, Gary Sinise. I have to say his whole name. Gary Sinise goes up to Alfred Woodard and it's like, hey, this is my patient. She's having a psychotic break. You could let me go with you.
But he also says, I'm not 100% sure anymore.
Yeah, I was like, because when she called him and was like, I need you to believe me. You know, I found somebody else who's having the exact same delusion.
Yeah.
So I need you to believe me. He's like, what? And so he's kind of like, I don't completely believe that she's crazy, because that's usually a shared delusion is between a bunch of people, not just two.
Yeah.
So
So he's like, I need to be with you when you find her.
So she pulls up with him in the car. It's like, stay in the car. I think he actually does stay in the car.
Yeah.
Which is amazing.
And I guess Ash tells him, you need to go. One of us has to get out of here.
She's like, go. She got the keys, and I guess they parked behind some trees. I don't know.
And so he stays and is like trying to distract police lady and runs around the other side of the house. And she's walking up, and all of a sudden, Friendly Man's there.
Yeah, he's walking up the porch, and he just like looks over at her and is like, I acknowledge your presence. Then he's walking away, and she's like, stop. Put your hands up. And then she's like, halt.
And she puts a freaking bullet in his leg, and it like, heals.
And then she's like,
shoulder cap. Heals.
Like,
middle of the back. Heals.
And then he kind of just looks back at her and is like,
he's like, thanks for that. That tickled a little.
And you notice that nothing's happening.
And walks away.
Halt. She says halt a lot.
Halt.
It's very amazing.
And then she turns around and she gets stuck in the
yeah, she's like stuck in the mud. Which when you first see this, I'm assuming that they just got rid of her initially because when you see the car, it's not like sunk into the ground. I think she just tried and it's not going nowhere, so she got out and it's like, oh my god, what's happening? And Alfred Woodard goes around the house, goes around the like bush that they were parked behind. She's like, Telly, I believe you.
Yeah.
She's like, wait, there's this guy over there. He's like really weird.
Yeah, he's not human.
Yeah.
Something's going on.
I don't know. She's like, I believe you. And Telly's like, no, like stay away from me. She's like, no, like I believe you that your child is like not.
And then she's like, we're gonna find your ceiling. And this time you see the yoinkening.
She goes so high up in past the clouds.
It's like, bye.
She's like, and Julienne Moore just sitting
and she's just like, oh, that's not good.
Like, okay, and she runs away.
And then Ash finds the doctor, Gary, Sinise, and
he's like, drive me back here.
Yeah, we gotta go help her.
I don't know how. I guess she just walked. I don't know. She got back somehow. And they go back to the his apartment. They go back to his apartment, right? Because he's like, go to my apartment. She's like, okay. And they're like, oh, we're here. And they're like, Ash. She's like, Tilly. I'm like, oh my god. They're like, oh, there's a guy. She got sucked up into the wall. She got sucked up in the air, dude. It's like, you should have seen her, bro. It was so cool. And then Friendly Guy says, I don't remember what he says. He just says something, and they're like, what? And he's like over by the window.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, what the? Where are
How did you get in here?
Like, how did you get in here? Where are our children? And like, what are you doing? And of course, Ash is like, fight me, bro.
And so they start scuffling.
Yeah, and he's like, run, Telly. And he like pushes them out the window. And as
she watches them
like,
fall.
Oh my god. And then as he's falling, Ash is like, whoop.
Yeah, he gets yoinked and Alien Man keeps falling. And so she runs down to the street and finds just the broken glass and stuff. And there's nobody there. And then Dr. Gary is there and he's like,
hey,
I
believe you as well. And she's like, we have to go to the hangar. And they go in the car and they're driving. And he's like, we have to
go to the police. We have to go to the police. And she's like, no.
She's like, they get to a light and she's like, park, takes the keys out. She's like, get out.
Yeah.
I'm like, good for you. And he's like, okay, like, I'll take you to the hangar, okay?
Like, chillax, lady.
He's like, I like, trust me. And you're like, okay. So they go to the hangar.
Yep.
Yeah, and they walk in and is the Friendly Guy immediately there?
No,
they're
first
like
they have a
around.
discussion while they're looking around.
She says, what's happening? You know, why is...
And this is where he's like, look, I've been in on it the whole time.
It's like I'm one of the few who knows. And you're like, okay. And
she's like, but what is it? What do they want? And he's like, well, they're doing it's experiments. They're experiments, and they'll do it with or without our help.
Yeah, she's like, why are you helping them? And he's like, I don't
have a choice. Yeah.
It's just like, I'm not doing it for funsies.
Yeah. And she's like, well, you have to help me. And he's like, look, if you go any further, I can't.
Like, he has a life. I think he's married. He may have children. I cooperate to the amount that I don't get killed, and it
yoinked.
Helps people. Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to get yoinked. either, because that looks like it kind of hurts.
So that's when he like I don't know if he leaves. He just stays back, and she keeps going
he just
into
kind
the
of looks.
hangar.
He like looks over, and then the friendly guy's there.
Oh yeah.
He's like, what's up?
It's like, sup, my homies.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, that's what she's like. She never, her issue is that she never forgot.
Oh, he tells him, he's like, look, it's over.
Yeah, it's over. She remembers. Like, the experiment is.
It's over.
It's done. Like, could you stop?
And friendly man's like, it's not over.
Yeah, he's like, it's not over. And then he tells Telly, he's like, this is what we're doing. Apparently, the bond between mother and child, which I probably like father and child too, but is apparently they can measure it. Is so
they can measure the energy.
Measure it, and they want to.
He posited
like, your connection. We want to dissolve it.
He posited that they could make them forget.
They're trying to sever. He says, trying to sever the bond. Like, can we make them forget it? So I was like, are you trying? I don't know if it's to like harness the power.
Yeah.
Or to just see if, since it's so powerful, can you make it stop?
Not 100% certain the intent behind experiment, other than this sounds fun.
It sounds like these presumed the aliens, obviously, because at one point she sees like the ship in the clouds. You're like, okay, but it seems like their experiments are just like, oh, we found a thing that seems interesting. Let's try to just mess it up.
Right.
They're like, great.
And he basically says to her, like, if I can't make you forget, I'll be a failure, and that's not
okay. Be on me.
Yeah, like, this is my responsibility, and I can't fail.
Yeah.
And so he like tells her, you have to forget. Right. And like, it's like creepy face and breaks all like the windows in this place, and she's like,
she runs away.
And then he like jump scares, grabs her, and starts like,
her. Like, you have to remember. She's like,
yeah, he's like, give me your first memory.
I'm like, bro, I bet it's pretty hard to remember things while you're choking her out.
Yeah, but he's like, give me your first memory, the first time that you saw him.
I was like, do they? I feel like they seem to have the ability to like compel her
to remember specific things
because she's like having flashes of him being like, look, here's your baby.
Yeah.
Kind of point, and then it's like. It like slowly just
gets wiped away
sideways, and she's like,
and she falls to the ground.
He, like, stops choking her out. He's like, oh, do you have a son?
And she's like, what? No, he said, what was the name of the boy? What boy?
What boy? He's like, yes, I did it. He's like, okay, I'm gonna.
He's like, yeah.
And then she's laying there, and she hears, I don't know if she's
a heartbeat,
hearing her own heartbeat, or she's like, this is a memory coming back. But she's like, wait a second. I remember him when he was inside my belly.
Inside me. And she's like, I had life inside of me. I had life inside of me. I got a son. His name is Sam, you son of a bitch.
He took him. He's like, he's like, God.
And he's like, no.
And then all of a sudden he's like, wait, I can fix it. Like, I need more time.
And then he's like through the ceiling of the hangar.
He's like, okay.
And I guess that means experiment over. The aliens are like, okay, we're scrapping it. It's over. Like, pack it up.
This one lady refused to forget about her child. I was like, well, I feel like you then just, not to be on the alien side, but you then kind of just proved how strong this certain person at least.
It just disproved his hypothesis.
Yeah, pretty much. I was like, bro, you picked up.
I mean, the experiment.
It seemed. I was like, I'm not sure why. I was like, I would like to know. I'm sure there's no explanation.
What's the end game?
I didn't think about this, but like, why she was the only? Because he says, I don't understand.
What's so special?
What's so special about you? Why can't you forget? We have made literally everyone else forget.
Yeah, your husband, all of the people around you.
Yeah, everyone doesn't remember.
We made Ash forget before you made him remember. Yeah. So, like, what is wrong with you in particular?
Okay. I think she gets like hit down and just like, I guess I'll go home and be like, wait, he's gone. Like, should I check? He's like, Sam, Sam. She likes saying Sam. She says Sam a lot. She would really
Get along with Dean Winchester.
He just yells Sam all day. It was great. And she goes into her house and it's like, they're not in the house. And then she goes outside and hears children laughing. And there's so many children at this
playground.
I think it said on the thing that there were like 14 children on the plane. So I'm assuming that's just all of them. And she's like, Sam, where's Sam? I'm like, you have... Before she has looked at literally every single child and every
she grabs a random child.
Like, oh my God, where's my dog?
Do you know Sam? And he's like, no.
She's like, oh my God. And then he's like, Mom. And she's like, oh.
So he's back and she sees Lauren as well.
She's Lauren's like, hey.
Yeah,
he's
like,
oh my God.
And she's like, oh, you guys are back. And then she sees Ash. He's back from being yoinked.
Yeah, he's on the
swing
but
set.
He doesn't like remember
anything.
What happened.
Yeah.
She's like, hi, I'm Telly. I'm Sam's mom. She's like, I think that we've met before.
She's like, yeah.
He's like, yeah, we have. It's one of those I remember our shared moment. And it's also like, what about her husband? Because she did. Yeah. She tried to make her husband remember at some point, but they apparently
erased her from his memory too.
They were like, nope. I feel like they realized that she found a way to make people remember and was like, we're not gonna let that keep going. So forget about her.
Yeah.
So I was like, they're sitting on the bench, kind of like, she's like, the shared experience we've had. It's very much like the end of the Prince of Persia movie, where it's like he's been through all of this stuff and is like in love with this lady, and then he's like, let's start over. It's like, cool. And she's like, yeah, and then it fades to black. I'm like, but what about husband though?
Like, what happens to him? I'm assuming because Ash is back and he's like back to normal.
Yeah.
That her husband's just gonna come home from work.
Like, maybe he's not. Maybe they were like, maybe we forgot to fix that, so I guess he just forgets. Like, this wasn't what she wanted. She didn't say anything about bringing her husband's memory back, so like,
yeah,
forget it.
She doesn't care about that.
I mean, he's better off without. She apparently likes this Ash guy.
But yeah, that's the end of the movie.
Yeah. Which I feel like the first time I saw it, or like I'm like, is this actually happening? Because it kind of goes back to that weird orange like memory color, but it's slightly more like dulled out. But I'm like, I always wondered, is this actually happening? Did something happen where she's now where they are or something? I was like, but then I was like, that's not the point.
Yeah.
It's like, that's not what they were.
The point is that she defeated them.
I was like, the point is that he's there and now she is okay with seeing him, but doesn't have to. She's not like smothering him. She's just happy that he's alive.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, except like, oh great, he's back. Now I can breathe.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine being told the entire, like, no, you're crazy, you don't have a son, and then finally he shows up, you'd be like, oh my God. I'm afraid that she's not just like,
well, and it's also crazy that now she's left with the knowledge.
I know, right? Yeah, like,
and nobody else remembers.
Well, the thing is that she wouldn't forget. So maybe
also, do FBI guy, does federal agent man come back? Does police chief come back? Like, because Ash did, we have to assume they got placed back because they're like, we don't need you anymore. Why did they get yoinked in the first place if they were going to give them back? Like, it's just weird. It's like, remove them from the experiment.
The agent made sense because he was saying stuff about them. Alfred Woodard was just like, she did not know what was happening. She's just like, that guy's weird. I guess they were like, don't tell her yoink. I was like, I hope I put them back then.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a pretty interesting, quick movie. I mean, it's not long and it's old, obviously. So there are it's a little bit dated.
The one like effect that they use is the friendly man's face kind of like turning kind of like alien-ish.
And it's a little bit
like they have it like in shadow, so it's not quite as bad. This is really the only like effects thing. That's usually the one thing that I noticed like that bothered me, but this is only if you're like a person that pays attention to like how like the movie was like filmed and stuff. Some of the like close-up shots that they did were like the camera kind of was like shaking as if it was like handheld a little bit, and I noticed that. And it kind of bothered me in the beginning, but then I didn't notice it as much. I feel like they were still trying to go for this whole time people are watching kind of thing. Mm-hmm. It's like, so it wasn't a shaky cam to a point where it made me nauseous.
No, it was very subtle.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like it was a subtle.
And it was mostly just in the close-ups when they were like close up on people. So it was just kind of like a dramatic effect is what.
Yeah, you're like,
But
ooh.
yeah, it's a good movie. Blast from the Past, 16
It's
years. I
it's
can't
got
believe
jump
it.
scares in it. They're pretty good. I mean, other than that, it's way more like thriller than it is. I mean, like thriller is kind of subgenre.
Yeah, it's
horror.
not. There's no
gore.
gore. There's no like real violence other than like Ash beating
But
people up.
I appreciate in these kinds of movies too, because it's like if you can be scary without tearing people apart, this is something you're like, oh, could there be people? Could there be a race of aliens just doing experiments on us, and we
have no idea. Yeah,
it's like that'd be horrifying.
All right. Well, we'll have to think of something else fun.
Yeah, because we did this because we were talking.
We
about
mentioned
the witch.
it.
If you watch this movie, or at least just look up The Forgotten, people get yoinked or people get pulled out through the sky, and then go back and watch that part of The Witch. It looks exactly the same.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I was like, so next time we'll do some other horror movie that we want to watch. Now that we can actually be in the same space as each other, it's a lot easier to record.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening to the Quiet Sisters podcast. We will talk to you on the next episode.
Bye.